everyone, my name is Isabella. Welcome back to my computer literacy classes that I'm doing for my Gold Project. A Gold Project is a larger scale service project that I am doing through the Girl Scouts of America. And the goal of my project specifically is to enable more people with basic computer literacy so that they're able to go and tackle larger, more difficult concepts. Today we are working with Gmail or Google Mail. This is a fantastic tool. I love it so much. It is a great way to communicate with others, either through long distances or short distances, and is a great way to keep track of things. So, to start today, what is Gmail? Gmail is a fantastic tool, again, as I said before. It is a fantastic tool meant to communicate with two different people or more. It is fantastic. So, what you can do with Gmail is you can send different letters of sorts, almost. That is the best way that I can frame this, is that you're sending a letter digitally to one person or multiple people, and then you're able to communicate over different email options instead of just Gmail. So, quickly, email stands for electronic mail. Now, this is a fantastic thing because it is exactly what it sounds like. It is sending a piece of mail from one person to multiple other people or just one other person. It's great. So, to start today, we're going to talk about signing into Gmail. So what we can do is we can go up here, and I don't have, I can just sign in another way. I can click add another account. And then it'll ask me for my email or phone. And here's where I could type my email address. And then I can type in after this my phone number. Or not my phone number, my password. But maybe I want to create a new account. Maybe I don't have a Gmail account. Well, accounts.google.com is the way that you go in, and you can always just type in Google Mail on any search bar and it'll pop it up, and that way you're able to sign in and create your own. So what you can do is you can click create account for my personal use or whatever is more applicable. You'll type in your first name, so we'll type in example because it won't let me actually create a full account without some more authentication things. We'll just pick January 1st, 2000, and then we'll just say rather not say. And as you can see, it gives you a whole bunch of options. Maybe I want to create my own Gmail address. So I'm going to do example.gmail@gmail.com. And you can see that it has a bunch of pop-ups. I don't know if it'll let me do this. I'm going to be fully honest. There we go. You can create your password. Now, what you want to do, and it says this off on the left-hand side here, create a strong password with a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. So what you want to do is you ideally want it to be longer than what its bare minimum is. Its bare minimum is 8 characters. Now, while its bare minimum is 8, it also means that your account is more susceptible to being hacked. So this is the furthest I'm actually going to go, because the next step will be authenticating with a phone number. I do not have a phone number that I can use with this, so I'm going to close this, and I'm back here to my just main Gmail account. So when you're signing in, and as I said before, you have to authenticate with a phone number, you also may have to use two-factor authentication. I think this is a great tool and definitely safer. It allows you to authenticate twice. So you've got your password, and then you've got some sort of other thing that might be like a push notification to your phone or a number or a physical fob. All of those are great tools because then nobody can get in without that second attribute, and it makes it harder for you to be hacked. So that's great. So let's see. Next, let's go through what this page is here. There's a lot going on this page, I know. So, this is the main homepage for Gmail. And as you can see, we are in my primary inbox here. And then there are other options here. So we've got promotions, and you can see that there's nothing in any of these. Social and updates. So those are all great things. And then you've got your starred. Maybe there's something super important in here, as you can see. You've got your snoozed. I don't have anything in here. You've got your sent. You've got drafts. I don't actually know what this is. We could just delete that. Purchases. Nothing here. Important. As you can see, everything goes here, and I actually get quite a bit of mail. Let's see, scheduled. I have stuff in scheduled here. All mail. I'm not clicking this because it will sync my other email address, but it shows you all of the mail through all of your inboxes, including other accounts, which is a very helpful tool if you're wanting to just go through and delete a bunch of stuff. You've got trash, and trash here actually has a whole bunch of stuff here, and we're going to just continue on. And then you've got manage subscriptions. I actually have an obscene amount of stuff. but we don't need to worry about that. So those are the main mailboxes of sorts. Next, you have your compose button. This helps you send an email. I will walk you through how to do that in just a second. But if you click on this, it launches this here, and I'm actually going to minimize that for now, and we will come back to it. Next, you've got a search bar, and you can see that there's a whole bunch of stuff here from stuff I've previously searched. This email I don't use, but it syncs across what I have used in my other thing. So that's great. Let's see. Next, we have labels. So you might see down here that I have example as a label. And if I click on this, there are actually 2 emails out of this that are clicked as examples. And you can see that it adjusts this at the top where it's like label example, because that's what it's searching for. Now you can create your own labels by clicking this little create new label button here. We'll name this test label. And then we can nest the label under example if we want to. I'm not going to. And now you've got test label. And as you can see, if we look in here, there's nothing here. Alrighty. So the other things I want to quickly talk about is I've got these little buttons up here. This little waffle is what we call it. If you click on that, there are a whole bunch of different Google applications. Now, this is why Gmail is kind of fantastic. That's because it doesn't just come with an email application. It comes with a online storage application. It comes with Google Sheets, Google Docs, presentations, or slides, or whatever it is. And all of those are great tools for different uses. So maybe you want to do schoolwork on your computer. This is a great way to accomplish that. Maybe you have an important work paper that you want to do. You can do that from your computer on a Google service of sorts, and that allows you to have more versatility, and it is all connected, which helps a lot. So we'll go back to my inbox here. All right. And then again, up here is just your account menu. You can sign out of all your accounts here. And all of that is great. So, my bad. The next thing that we are going to do is we're going to go to this email that I was drafting here. Now, we'll start from the top and work our way down. So we have our minimize button here. You all saw what that did earlier. You've got your expand button, or full screen. And as you can see, it makes a full screen. And then you've got this little X button, which is save and close. And if I click that, it's gone. Now, I don't actually know if it would have saved drafts because there wasn't anything in it. So it will normally save, it just needs to actually it has to have information. So the first thing is email address. Now there are 3 different options here. So we have just our basic 2. This is like if you were to send a letter directly to a family member, say your mother. If you were to send your mom an email, you just put her email address here and you know it's directly to her. Maybe you also want to add other family members, like maybe you want your father or sister or a brother on there. You can use CC, which is carbon copy, and it sends them the exact same email, and they can see who else was on the email chain. Now, you can also click BCC, and this is blind carbon copy, so maybe you want to send a bunch of emails to your entire family, but you don't want them to all know that they got the same email. This is a great way because then they all don't know that they got the same email, and all you had to do is just add each of their email addresses once instead of copy-pasting the email over and over and over again. So now, this is the recipient side. So you are actually the sender from your email account. So if I were to send an email, it would come from this email account. That is very important. All right. So the next thing that we have is subject line. So we can add, this is an example email. That's a great title. You want titles to be very clear and concise when it comes to naming them so that people will want to click on them. So the next thing we have is the message body. So that's what this is. So maybe I want to type in hello all, and I'll add an exclamation point there. I don't know why that's mad, and as you can, there we go. So sometimes it'll offer grammar suggestions if you have typos or spelling errors or maybe just a grammatical thing. It'll underline that and you can go through and fix it. This is a superb, and you can see that auto-corrected. Email example. Thanks. So there we go. That's a great way to sign off your email. Now, what you want to do is that you can change a whole bunch of stuff here. So now we can go through with all of these buttons here. There are so many. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight this. Now, you can change its bold, italicized, or underline. based off of these 3 buttons, or using Control B, Control I, and Control U. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you might be like, wow, this is really similar to a lot of the LibreOffice stuff. And that is because these functions are cross-compatible with everything, almost. Most everything uses these same shortcuts for all of this. So I'm going to click this little B to bold that. I'll italicize this, and then I'll underline this. And as you can see, it adds a little bit more, and I'm actually going to full screen this to make this a little bit easier to read. Now, this text is still really tiny, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of this, and I can change its font type, so maybe I want it to be Comic Sans. And as you can see, that makes it look a little more goofy. And then maybe the font needs to be a bit bigger, so I can click this button here. And it's actually at normal size right now, but I can click to make it large or make it huge. And as you can see, it's much easier to read now because it is much larger. Now, I'm going to leave it at the size because it, again, makes it easier to read. For this example, I think it's kind of good that it's larger. The next thing is you can change the font color. So maybe, and I'll highlight my name here, you can change the background color. So maybe I want it to be yellow. And if I click off of that, you can see that it's like mustard yellow. And then if I click this again and I click like hot pink, you can see that that changes my name to that. And it is great. And this is a great way to add like emphasis in emails, or like if you're forwarding something to somebody, and I'll go through that. It is a great way to like show people certain things and highlight that. So I'm going to change this back to black. That's great. The next thing is maybe I want to add a list. This is a list of produce I need from the store. Now, what I can do is I can either change the alignment, and here, I'll actually do this over here just so that you can see this a little bit easier. I can just center that, and you, again, might notice that the keyboard shortcuts are very similar. So like Control-Shift-R, Control-Shift-E, Control-Shift-L. Those are all very similar to what other tools use. So like Control-L, Control-R, Control-E. Those are usually what you use to center left, right, and of course center. So that is great, but in this case, I want it to be aligned center, so I'm just going to click this align center button. But if I wanted it aligned right, I could use Control-Shift-R or click this button. Or if I wanted it back left aligned, I could use Control-Shift-L or click this button. Now, I want to add a list of stuff. So I'm going to go here, and you can see that there's a numbered list, a bulleted list. So you can use the keyboard shortcuts. I have never used these, but you can use them. Control-Shift-7 and Control-Shift-8 are their respective ones. So maybe I want a bulleted list. So things I need from the store. I need apples, oranges, peaches, and we'll say cucumbers. And as you can see, that's a great list, but maybe I don't like that it's a bulleted list. Maybe I want it to be numbered in like ranked order of importance. So now you can see that those numbers are there next to all of that. You can see that they're kind of small. There's not really a good way to resize them, but that is just a way to show them. Now, maybe I want this aligned further in, so what I can do is I can indent less, and I actually can't do that with this. So what I can do is I'm going to indent more. And as you can see, I can move that in to indent more, or I can click the indent less, and it moves it back to what its original indent was. Now finally, there's quote, so maybe if I highlight this, I don't actually know where that goes. It should like show, this is usually more for forwarding things, but it will show like at the top where you're quoting something. And you can see that there is a little line here, so it has affected something, but maybe I want to unquote that. So I'm going to click this undo button, or Control-Z. And then there's redo, which is Control-Y. And again, it requotes that, but I don't need that. So I'm just going to undo that again. Finally, we have strike through. So maybe I actually don't need apples. What I can do is I can strike through this list using Alt-Shift-5, or I can just click that button, and that's often what I do is I just click it. And as you can see, it kind of crosses apples off my list. Now, finally, if I were to select all of my text, all of it, just like this entire email, and I click this button here, this is my clear formatting button. And as you can see, it's moved it back to its original font size, its original font type, its original font color, and then it's removed bulleted points, any alignment things that I've attached, and then any like quotes or anything. So that gives you a lot of opportunities. And I'm just going to click this because it removes the formatting options bar from our thing, and that's what we're done with. So the next thing is we can attach files. So I can click this, and as you can see, it pulls up my resume and CV file. This is just because this is the last file I had open. As you can see, there are a whole bunch of different things on the side here, and you can just navigate to whatever you want in your file. But for now, this is fine. So actually, I should probably attach one just for example's sake. So we'll go to Windows Basics, or no, we'll go to Computer Literacy. We'll go to Gmail, and then we'll go to this one. We'll open this on here. And as you can see, it uploads. There's this little X here, and that allows you to remove the attachment, where you can click on this and it will launch it in a separate file. I'm going to close this because it just re-downloads it. And that's fine. But then you're able to open it and look at it before you actually send it. I'm going to get rid of it by clicking this remove attachment button, or the little X. Now you can also click insert link. So maybe I want to insert a link to something. We'll just click this folder again. And as you can see, it uploads a file, which is very bizarre, but if I'm trying to insert a link, here we go. I don't know why it triggered this one. It's supposed to be this. So you can name this email. I can type today email shortcut. And what I can do is I can go up here, and I'm just going to right click and copy this and then paste that there. And you can see that it's named email shortcut. Now if I were to go down here and paste that, I can remove that name. Normally it doesn't paste with the name because it's a shortcut. It was pasting with my name. But as you can see, having email shortcut tells you what that link is instead of it being some random link that you don't know what it is. This is great if you're trying to communicate with people and not seem weird. So it's a great choice. Now, next you can insert emojis, and if I click on this, I haven't used any emojis. I don't use emojis in emails. It's not something I do, but they have all of the emojis you could ever desire. Now I'm going to just lightly breeze through these. You have insert files using Drive. Now if I click this, I'm actually going to close that because I don't know what's in my Drive. But you can upload anything from your Google Drive onto an email, and that allows you to not have to download it physically before you send it off. This is a great way to have everything be kind of cloud managed, and it allows you to work fully digitally. Now you can also insert pictures. If I click this, it will launch my photos directory, and then I'm able to pick a new picture from there. And then let's see, toggle confidential mode. And now if I click this, you can see recipients will have the option to forward, print, or copy, print, or download this email, and then you can set it to expire. Now, I have never used this, but it is a great tool if you're sending very private information that you don't want to be easily accessible by somebody else. Maybe you're sending an email scan of your passport. That's a great thing to probably use confidential mode for, because now that information won't just be out there. It's more protected. Now you can also insert a signature, and I'm going to click manage signatures here because I don't actually have one. And we'll see, yeah, it does pop something up. So I'm going to minimize this. Now, signature, I can create a new one here. Isabella, and I can click create. Now, if I go here and I click insert signature, it apparently has not synced. Yeah, it's not synced, but usually it'll figure out that there is in fact a signature to pull from, and it'll use that. This is great if you don't want to type your name multiple times. Let's see, you can default to the full screen mode. I don't like doing that. Plain text mode is essentially what this is. And as you see, it doesn't change anything, but if I click, maybe I want to bold this. Now if I turn plain text mode off, I'll bold this, I'll italicize it. And as you can see, it looks a lot different now. So now if I go to plain text mode, it removes all of that formatting and shows you just what it looks like plain. This is great so that if you notice that something's weird formatting wise, you can just look and see, okay, why is it weird? Now you can print it. This is great if you want to have a physical copy. Spell check, so maybe I spelled peaches with 2 S's. You can see that it already red underlines it, but if I click spell check, it'll highlight that for me. Then I can click peaches and it fixes that automatically for me. Finally, I can add it to a label, so maybe I want to add it to test label. And then there is set up a time to meet, which I'm not messing with because I don't use this much, but it basically creates a Google Meet invite. Finally, there's a little drop down here. It's schedule send. Now if I click this, oh, I need to, okay, so isabella2@gmail.com. There we go. And as you can see, I'm just sending this to me because it's easier. Now, if I go to schedule send, it pops up this, and I can choose whatever I want. So maybe I want to send it Monday morning. I've added rich content to this email. Okay. So basically it was just saying that there was... Oh, okay. So I hadn't saved that. That's why it was mad. Got it. I'm still getting used to that whole save function because before I just auto-saved. It was fantastic. So what you can do now is you can see that this is the scheduled email. Now, I can cancel send, and it actually moves it back to my drafts. And I can just send it normally as is to myself now. So if I click send, it pops up in my inbox, and it has the test label on it, and it also has my inbox label on it. This is great when you want to use this as an example email. Okay, so let's see. The next thing that I need to go over is opening an email. So I kind of breezed through that. But the way to open an email is you can just click on it, and it pulls it up into the main full page. So that's great. Now maybe I want to reply to it. So I can click reply and then add more information. This is a follow up email. And I can send that. Maybe I want to add another email though. So I'm gonna add my alternate email on here. I'm gonna send that. And as you can see, that's great. Now I can reply. Now it has both of them on here, but a very common thing is that, let's see, I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't offer it, sometimes it does. You have to be sure to reply all. I'm kind of unsure why it's not offering me that, and it's just automatically doing that, because most of the time when you click reply, it will only reply to one email address instead of both. So you have to be sure to click reply all when you're replying to a full email chain worth of people, because otherwise it will be kind of peculiar. Now, the next thing that you want to do is, I didn't actually add an attachment on here, so we're going to go to this example. Now I can download this, and as you can see, just hover over that little download option and it pops up and download it here. Now I can also create this as a full thing without having to download it. I can view it. Same with the other attachment on here. This is just like a Gmail Basics handout that I created that also pulls up on here. Both is fantastic. So the next thing I've got is forwarding. So maybe I want to send this email to myself again. So I can type in my email address, and maybe I want to schedule send this for Monday morning. And it sends that to me for tomorrow at 8 a.m. This is great. So if I view scheduled, it'll be in the scheduled area, and then tomorrow come 8 a.m. it will come up here again, and it will have reminded me almost that this exists. This is a great way to set reminders for yourself about certain emails if you want to know things about it. So the next thing we have is trash. So this is the last large thing that I'm going to talk about today. And basically, maybe I want to trash this. So I'm going to select this. And if I click this little delete button up at the top here, conversation was moved to trash. Now I can undo it down here. Or if I go to trash, it'll actually be at the top here. And there's a delete forever option. But if you click these three dots, you can actually move to... Apparently not. There is a way to restore it. Maybe if I go here. Oh, it's this button here. Move to, and I can move it back to my inbox, and you can see that it's gone. So I'm going to go back here. That's actually my sent folder. And you can see that it's back here and out of delete, or out of trash. That means that this file will still save. Now, you can always click delete forever, and that would have just removed this file forever. It's a great way if you want to remove a ton of emails. Maybe you have a bunch of spam that you want to get rid of. Speaking of, spam is this little folder down here. Now, I actually don't know what's in my spam. So I'm just going to delete forever. Now there is a not spam button, and there's also a delete all spam messages now button. Maybe you get copious amounts of spam, like hundreds and hundreds of emails. Delete all spam messages now is a fantastic way, and your email is just automatically combing through the email contents, looking for sketchy formatting, sketchy words, and deeming if it's spam or not. So, okay, my mistake. There is one other thing that I do want to touch on. So, the final thing I want to touch on is starring an email. So you can see that there's this little star here. Now if I click that, it's starred. And if I go to here, it shows up as starred. This is fantastic, and if you want to unstar it, it's clicked there, and then if I come back, it's removed. So this is a great way to like mark things as important. Now there is also a mark as important button. So if I can find it on here, you can label things as and then have your certain labels, but there's also, or there used to be, a mark as important button. I'm not quite sure where that has gone. And this allows you to kind of explore and like keep things on top when you're like working on certain things. So like stored emails can be sorted to the top. I have it just sorted as chronologically. But that way then it's easier to go through, and you can see that like there's a keyboard here if you don't want to type with your like physical keyboard, or if you don't have one that works. This is a great way to do that. Alrighty, that is all I have for today. Thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Somebody will respond to you. And thank you so much. I hope this helps.